Can you print out the one pager?
Yeah, beautiful.
Thank you. After you get us going.
Good.
I've got plenty.
You're good.
It used to
Okay.
be a real riot.
All right. I'd like to call to order this meeting of the Broome County.
I've got three more.
You guys
One
ready?
of them will work.
Okay. I'd like to call to order this meeting of the Broome County Industrial Development Agency of October 15, 2025. First order of business. Passed around a conflict of interest disclosure form. As we begin today's meeting, I'd like to remind everybody of our duty to act in the best interest of the organization. In keeping with our conflict of interest policy, I ask each board member to disclose any actual, potential, or perceived conflict related to matters on today's agenda. If you believe you may have a conflict, please state it now so it can be noted in the minutes. If a conflict arises during the discussion, please bring it to our attention immediately. If a conflict is identified, the board member must exit the meeting while the item is being discussed. Transparency protects both the integrity of our decision-making and the trust placed in this board. I've passed around the form, everybody signed it. I note that Dan Gates has a conflict with regard to film and painting, so at that part of the meeting, he will exit. We're gonna repeat this process again for every committee that you need to participate in, and also for the LDC. Does anybody have any questions about it? This is a gift from our friends at the ABL. Okay, thank you for that. Next order of business. Welcome, Mr. McManus. In a moment, we will take the oath of office. Before we proceed with the oath, I'd like to recognize that Mr. McManus has received all necessary orientation materials in accordance with the Authority's Budget Office's recommended governance practices for our new board members. This orientation ensures that each member understands the authority's mission, organizational structure, programs, and policies, as well as ethical, legal, and fiduciary responsibilities associated with governing on this board. Mr. McManus has reviewed the board's code of ethics, conflict of interest procedures, and fiduciary duties, and has been provided with access to all relevant financial, organizational, and policy documents. We acknowledge that Mr. McManus has completed his official board training on September 19th, 2025, and has demonstrated his readiness to serve as a fully informed and engaged member of this governing body. With that, we now invite Mr. McManus to take his oath of office and affirm acknowledgement of his duties as member of the board. Chris will administer the oath.
Do I have the oath?
No. Do we have the oath handy? I apologize.
I'm looking forward to my.
Here,
There you go.
Thank you.
All right.
So if you can repeat after me, I
You can say right.
state your name,
I, Kevin McManus,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I'll support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of New York,
and the Constitution of the State of New York,
and that I will faithfully discharge the duties
and I will faithfully discharge the duties
of the office of member of the Broome County Industrial Development Agency
of the office of the Broome County Industrial Development Agency
according to the best of my ability.
according to the best of my ability.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Yes, do you need help? Get that in.
You're gonna file that.
Yeah. We will.
Next item on our agenda is approval of the minutes. The board has received the minutes from our August 2025 meeting. You've had an opportunity to review them. Are there any additions, corrections, or edits? There being none, I'd like a motion to approve receiving the minutes of our August 2025 meeting into the record. Thank you. A second. Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Great. Now we've come to the part of our agenda where we have public comment. Anyone wishing to speak on any matter concerning the IDA, please feel free to do so at this time. State your name and address for the record, and please limit your comments to 5 minutes. I do not see anyone wishing to address this esteemed body. So we'll close this section of the meeting and move on.
Okay.
Next item of business is the executive director's report. We have a very long, extensive agenda today, as long as I remember seeing. Stacy was good enough to send out her report ahead of time, so everybody's had an opportunity to review it. Are there any questions for Stacy on the report?
I just had one, but I think we can get it resolved. On the tech park budget, I had asked for a breakout on the architectural and engineering line, which is 673,000, and the communications line, which is 488,000. I know it might have been short notice, so if you can just, send it all out over the next few days.
That'll be
Yep.
forthcoming. They
Right.
have been slammed.
Yeah, so I
I
understand.
mean, they're-
So, and I think everybody might be, if you want to send it to everybody, I think everybody might be interested.
Oh, yeah,
in seeing the breakout.
everyone was copied on it. Everybody will receive it. I
Yeah,
think I talked to Chris, also, we're gonna try to put together a policy, so we have a way to streamline requests from board members on financial or other information.
just one observation. So I see the balance on that tech budget is 883,000. And so through purchasing additional land, that might bring that down pretty substantially.
So,
Is there other ways of adding new revenue to this budget?
yeah.
I don't
so-
think there's too much detail like to get into.
No. I mean, just high level, we do have, two $500,000 awards, grant awards that will be reimbursed. So the timing of those is the challenge. So we have about $1 million coming back to us. The timing is part of the challenge because the first $500,000, we have to complete the GEIS before we can start the reimbursement process, which we hope to begin right after the new year. The second $500,000 is connected to our efforts on engineering for wastewater infrastructure and energy infrastructure. So again, certain deliverables have to be met and expenditures, which we can demonstrate. We also, the Audit and Finance Committee and Board also approved in November 30th, we have a large treasury maturing at the end of November, roughly 998,000, if I'm correct. That will be applied towards the park. We are working on a grant application of $150,000 to put back into with NYSEG through their economic development outreach program. And then we are in conversations with New York State about additional funding, mostly related to infrastructure, building out wastewater, things like that. But I would say at that stage, they're very high level. So right now, a lot of the funds have come through IDA proceeds.
So, essentially you have 1.9 in the pipeline. You have the 900,000 at the end of November,
Exactly.
and you have $1 million that's
Yeah.
technically owed to us once we go throughout the process of documenting.
Correct,
Okay.
yes.
Okay, all right.
And I would say imminent land purchases is closing De La Pena. That is imminent. We've discussed the option for James that we'll discuss in regular session as well. That's about a 6-month turnaround. And if any additional acreage, we would probably seek a longer option so we can ensure positive, strong cash flow to.
And they have been modeling out the cash flow, of what
Yeah.
the project looks like, which is why we went to finance for those.
Yes. For those, yeah. So I'm hopeful that when the board, I'm in conversations with Empire State Development, that when the board receives the draft final GEIS document, there's still a lot of steps we need to do, but could that begin the process of requesting reimbursement? Because it's a 3 to 4 month process to get reimbursed.
Right.
So
Well, those two are gonna happen. It's just a
Yeah,
matter of time.
just
And
timing.
I might,
yeah.
almost might want to put like an extra column here about, potential income or prevent,
Okay.
it's just so you can show that you have,
Other
Or
resources we're
just
looking
attach
at.
the cash flow projection.
Yeah.
Sure.
that you have the
Okay.
900,000 coming and another million. So,
Okay.
yeah, okay.
Sounds good.
Any other questions?
Spend
Dave?
money you don't have.
With that.
It is.
There you go.
Answer New York State. Yeah.
Okay. Any other questions for Stacy? There being none.
Can I make one note on the internal financial, is that there is now, oh,
Go
I'm
ahead.
sorry, there is now a variance report in your. We do this internally, I don't know, we just haven't provided it with the the board packets, but you do have a variance report in there now. So-
And I know that the,
And of
yep,
course.
the financial statements are for August 31, 2025, September 30, 2025. Both of them included the variance reports. So are there any questions about the financial statement at this point?
No.
If there are none, are there any questions or concerns regarding the loan activity report dated September 30, 2025?
I just want to note that Antonio has made his first two payments on time and he's been successful.
Great. Okay, good news. No good news.
Mhm.
Okay, new business. First item, number 7, discussion and update on the Crowley Loft project, Stacy.
Yes, in governance committee, we had a representative from the Crowley Lofts Housing Project and the city of Binghamton, provide an update on the status of that project. That was a project, we had approved pilot benefits for in 2023. There had been a perception of slow or no activity related to that project. So, with a subsequent request for a sales tax exemption extension, we thought it was prudent to bring a representative from that project in. Patrick Van Putty did address the board, or the governance committee, and stated that there has been progress on the project, just slower than anticipated due to a number of factors. Construction costs, delays with certain state agencies, working with State Historic Preservation Office, and just trying to time certain purchases for the most beneficial costs, but that also stated that they are committed to completing the project. And as such, I don't know, do you want to talk about the governance committee recommendation on the sales tax?
Yes, we,
Why don't I read the motion
Yes,
and then we
thank
can
you.
discuss the motion?
Yeah.
Would that be okay?
Yeah, but the motion should be amended
I will
to,
read the amended.
yeah, to approve what the government.
Amend it.
Right.
So I'm gonna read a summary version of the motion that's in the whole board packet that was publicized, because otherwise we're gonna be here all day reading. There's a resolution to approve extension of the ability of Crowley Factor Lofts LLC to undertake its project located at 135 and 149 Conklin Avenue in Binghamton as agent of the agency and claim sales and use exemption benefits and the necessary documentation necessary to effect such extension. Stacey, you want to just elaborate briefly?
Yes, as a follow-up to the update from Patrick Van Putty on the project, there was a request to modify the sales tax exemption for a term of 2 years, to allow the project to receive the necessary construction bids, make the necessary purchases, and provide time for the project to gain stronger momentum.
And that motion came from governance.
so yeah, governance moves the motion forward as a motion to approve.
Okay, the motion that came from government or from governance was amended to extend the term to 10/18/27. So they're not back in another year in front of us asking for an additional extension. So that's the motion that's in front of us now. Can I have a second?
Just a quick question.
Please.
So does he have his financing locked in then for this?
I don't believe that.
No, he specifically mentioned that they're waiting for rates to come down a little bit.
Really?
But he mentioned that they put over $1 million of owner equity into the project.
Yeah.
And the project sounds like it's back on track. Is that your?
Definitely,
Oh,
they're
they're
working the property. We weren't here for the full governance, but I'm feeling the same way. We came up with a 2-year by having a 1-year, or you came up with it, doesn't matter, but having a 1-year sales tax, look back, to see, to me, we'll catch up with them again. If you wait 2 years, what's gonna be the status a year from now? Nobody's talking, right? Could they be doing the same thing? This started in 23, soon to be 26. No, I don't agree with the 2-year sales tax exemption. I'd like to know what's going on a year from now. What if it's still hanging out there?
We're not out anything.
We're not out anything, but it's just.
But it's the project.
I guess you set a precedent for all the other ones.
I think that ship's already sailed.
Yeah,
I mean,
they're making
extended.
progress and they don't have their financing, they don't have a contractor nailed down, but they're committed to coming in at the number that the pilot was
What we set up for, sure.
And so
They're doing a lot of,
it's unrealistic to think this project's gonna be done in a year, and
Yeah.
that's why I thought 2 years.
and the extension, Dan, is they're doing a lot of this work themselves to save money. Right? So they did the whole clean out themselves, which saved them money.
That's right when I walked in. I
Right,
feel like we
yeah.
didn't hear the whole
Okay,
thing.
so
I mean, we can
that's-
certainly
they're-
request an
they're working.
update.
Yeah.
to the
we'll get-
board.
if they
Yeah,
commit
a
to it,
year.
Is that gonna,
I think that
I
makes
mean,
sense.
going forward,
Yeah.
nothing is built in a year, right? Why,
Yeah.
why have we always done a 1 year sales tax?
We get a
exemption?
fee, we get $1,000 fee every
Well,
time we
it's-
use the extension as well.
And it keeps the project, the idea, the goal is to keep the project on task, right, on time.
So
So we have
that's my point.
discretion and,
If you have a 1 year sales tax exemption, if I'm building a project, I'm gonna try to get it done a little
Sure.
bit quicker,
right,
whereas these people haven't.
Oh, but we've done a lot of 1 year extensions over the past.
Right, but that's okay. At
Several
least,
years, I
at least
think.
you're caught up with what's going on with that specific project.
Yeah, I
That's
guess
why,
I just had,
that's why I was looking at it, that's all.
I had the confidence that we could get an update if we asked for it.
Well, and I think that can we have discussion now or do you want?
Yeah, no, we're discussing the motion.
No, I think that the key is you guys have kind of missed a lot of his presentation, so I can understand where you're coming from. But he was emphatic that they're committed to the project, that they've done, that the clean out of the building, cleaning it, all the internal demolition, removing a lot of the boilers and other things would have, initially would have cost them like $1.2 million. They did it themselves for 300,000. So the building is now ready, to move forward. So what he was saying is that, because money is tight because of interest rates and they're starting to fall, he feels that confident that he can get his financing in place shortly, because I guess Peter knows better than we do what the future interest rate or rates are gonna be for.
You do. If I did, I was gonna be sitting here. Same as everybody in this room.
Can you tell us now, so I can go find out? So any event, yeah, so also in getting a general contractor in place, but, he said they're committed to the project, and that's why they asked for the extension, and so I think we felt confident. I mean, I think the important thing was that it's such a pivotal project for the south side of Binghamton, that Crowley's building, that if it does move forward, it'll be a, real benefit to the whole city, and especially the south side. And if to start over again will be just, leave it vacant and start all over again, I
Yeah,
think
I
it would
got
just.
you.
would you
It's
like?
been dormant for so many.
I mean, I'm not-
years.
No, I understand.
So anyway, everybody can vote yes, and that's.
Oh, right,
one
right.
vote that's-
No, sure.
My only thing was,
Fine.
I'm not denying anything.
I know.
I say bring that up, all of a sudden.
No, I
Come back
understand
a
your
year from
position.
now, how about another, you need another extension? Get another,
No, your position's valid.
because the sales tax exemption thing
All right,
is.
are we at the point where we can vote?
Yes.
Okay. Came forward as amended in governance with a 10/18/27 extension. I have a motion to second, wasn't governance, I think we did this, but we'll do it again just to be safe. Second, okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? One. Any abstentions? Carries. Great. Next item, discussion of submission to New York State ISO related to energy development for the proposed tech park. Thanks.
Okay, yes, as we continue our studies and due diligence on the potential development of the Broome Technology Park, one of the key areas that we've been looking at is how much energy, how much power we can bring to the park. Joe's not here, but if you're a follower of energy development in New York State, the biggest concern right now is for capacity and reliability, and those communities that can offer competitive capacity are going to be to see real investment in their communities. So at the very beginning, really early in this process, through Harris Beach, Bill Flynn, who's based in the Albany, Harris Beach, Mertha, in the Albany office, has developed a team looking at the energy development for the park. That includes Harris Beach, Mertha. It includes Entrust, which is the group that did our initial interconnection report. That's the first step to look at what is a reasonable or a feasible amount of megawatts that we'd like to achieve at the location. John Beck and Apurv Magar with Entrust are on virtually. And also part of that team is Capital Energy Partners who assess work with Entrust on the analysis as well. And I have Michael Hammer here in person and John Hammer, who's virtual. So this was a lengthy process. Once we completed the interconnection report, which I believe I provided electronically to the board some time ago, they signed an NDA with NICEAG, and then our energy team in NICEAG worked really behind the scenes on the engineering and a lot of the deep dive into the ways to achieve. I mean, I'm not going to pretend I understand all of the terminology here, but the ways to get to a desired amount, which we have set at 250 megawatts as the floor, which would provide a very competitive power portfolio at the park, especially if we're looking at manufacturing as potential tenants. So earlier in the year, the Audit and Finance and the Board Committee also approved an expenditure of $150,000, which is required to submit the submission to the ISO. That is part of their second fast award that will be reimbursed to us. But I thought it would be worthwhile before we officially submit this request to the ISO, Independent Systems Service Operator. It would be beneficial to have just a very high level overview of what we're trying to achieve at the park. So Michael, it's up to you.
Yeah, well, sure, yeah. The process has been ballpark a little over a year. In that time, we've had in trust handling a lot of the legwork for engineering, Bill, Flynn and Harris Beach Mirtha handling a lot of policy and politics, things of that nature. My father and I have kind of been in the middle, facilitating it all, I guess that's what I'm saying. We looked at multiple things. Is power available on the side of the road in NICEAG system, the local, as well as the transmission and natural gas and the ability to tap into that natural gas. You guys are actually in an awesome spot right now. Is the access to the Millennium Pipeline is right on the property, which is huge for the future, because natural gas is probably a bigger issue that's coming up in the next 5 to 10 years to use electricity. But so focusing on electricity is, the main two things we looked at was across the middle of the property, going west is a 115 kV, power line. And just north of the property, ballpark half a mile north, is a 345 kV line. And so to get that 250 megawatts, and the Entrust took the lead on this, is to figure out which is the best path to take. And essentially, the summary is the 345 line is going to be the best option for us, which is just north of the park. And the 115 through the park is just going to have so many more upgrades necessary for it to actually handle the power that we need for going forward to attract these the high tenants we're looking for.
So can you explain a little bit, like once we submit to the ISO, what's that process? What does the ISO process look like?
So the NISO process is them, on a big picture, what NISO is doing is throughout the state, people are always submitting applications for large energy use. And so for them, they're on a daily basis balancing the power on the grid. And so when generators put electricity on the grid to where that power is needed, they're constantly balancing, making sure everyone has that power. So which is why we have to go through this process, and why everyone else has to go through this process, is because if we just all of a sudden out of nowhere just took a large chunk of power, that's going to completely disrupt their system. Last I checked, they have ballpark 30 applications into NISO for these types of studies. And those are going to vary in size, because right now it's anything above 10 megawatts requires this study. So not all of them are going to be as big as us at the 250 megawatts level. Roughly, in terms of the process itself, NICE was great. We already had conversations with them, so they're very aware of what we're doing and what we're looking at doing here. The process itself, they'll provide a timeline in roughly 4 to 6 weeks of our application being submitted, which will tell us how long our study specifically will take. I've seen studies out there that have taken as little as 8 to 10 months, which I personally don't think ours will be that quick, because we're looking for so much power. But then other ones as much as 24 months. And I'm guessing they're just going to be somewhere in the middle of that. But they'll keep us up to date on that whole process and things like that. So ideally before Thanksgiving, we should have a better understanding of everything that's going to happen with the NISO process and the timeline that they give our specific project. And
important point to note too, anything above 10 megawatts requires this review. So So you've got, yeah, so anything that could be 10, or in the case of a project like Micron, which is over 1,000 megawatts, I mean, the continuum is very, very broad. Yeah, and as Michael said, I think there's 30 projects in a queue, total of about 6,000, I think, megawatts was what I saw.
The last time I saw the numbers was mid-August-ish.
Yeah.
Kind of changed a little, but that's essentially.
So it's a very competitive landscape for power right now, and not surprisingly, the biggest asks are in central New York. I think we could figure out what project that's connected to, but I think the sooner we get in this queue, the better for us. I do want to know and acknowledge the work of the energy team. We did do a half a day with representatives from NICEAG's economic development staff, and they said the level of analysis at this stage in the game they were incredibly impressed. They said typically these are questions the ISO will come to us with. So they did feel that could help. They didn't guarantee, but they could help expedite the study by a few months, maybe, give or take. As Michael mentioned, we've been in regular communication with the ISO to let them know this is keeping it on their radar. So they are aware of this. We also had the opportunity to do an intro call with the Assistant Secretary for Energy under the governor's staff and put this on the radar there as well. So, can you, Michael, maybe just because we have, we're fortunate, we have the county executive on the call as well, maybe just higher level, like the benefit of having this much power for the county. Yeah.
So, my father and I, I got into energy because my father was in it for years. But so in 2010-ish, we started working in the private sector in this consulting field where we'll help clients with anything energy related. That'll be municipalities, manufacturers, commercial businesses, whatever is out there. And over the past, let's say 5 to 6 years, our business has transitioned a ton to be this specific issue of there's not enough power in the grid. We've helped individual manufacturers with it. We have multiple counties always reaching out saying we're trying to create jobs, but every time we try, the utility says there's no power. And that's from Capital Region all the way out west and down a little bit through the Hudson Valley. So the fact that you guys are already on top of this is huge. And this is going to be pretty significant in terms of creating jobs in this area.
Michael, what's the best case scenario at the conclusion of the study? Are we guaranteed power?
So the study will set up the process for the actual physical construction. And so that'll say, all right, it's nice. So essentially putting everything into place saying, hey, you want this much power, we can give it to you. This is what you're going to have to do to upgrade the infrastructure. And as long as you upgrade it, you're good.
That's the 11 or 16 million you have in front of us here.
That would be the cost.
That would cost that much to upgrade.
Michael, do you know that the power usage, like for reference, the existing corporate park in Conklin?
I don't know that power usage. I can give you an idea of power usage.
Just, okay.
So a typical manufacturer, let's say a bottling mill, will use roughly 5 megawatts of power. And that usually, in the case of the bottling plant, will create 300, 400 jobs, depending on how many shifts they have in the 24/7, 7 days a week type of thing. A house itself uses about 10,000 kilowatt hours annually. So a megawatt would be about 1,000 houses. So the 250 megawatt level, it's a ton. And the reason for that, it's a very significant niche where it's high-tech manufacturing like chip fabs, as well as data centers. And we're not going for the data centers because it doesn't have the same job creation, but it's for that high-tech market specifically that creates this level job and it's very significant for.
Are we overshooting?
It's
Are we gonna get kicked down the road of a
honestly,
year or two because we're not asking for 150 versus 250?
anyway, anything is the other way around. Honestly, it's kind of like the field of dreams. If you build it, they will come. Like the amount of.
No, I understand that if you have the power, but I mean, are we gonna be held up by the authorities because we're asking for too much power in this specific area?
Honestly, no one has balked at it at all or mentioned any concerns for that.
So I got a couple questions. So the ISO, they're the ones that determines the allocation of power around this.
Allocation, the balancing of power
Okay.
is more accurate, but essentially.
All right. So then you said right now there's requests for 6,000 megawatts of power before them.
Throughout the state,
Step.
correct.
Does the state have 6,000 megawatts of power available? If everybody was,
So the way that works is if you look at the country as a whole, we have 3 power grids. You cut the country in half, you have east and west, and then Texas is its own thing.
Right.
And so what happens on a daily basis is, especially when you're in like an August scenario where you have a lot of electricity usage, is we talk to Pennsylvania and New Jersey and Massachusetts, and their equivalents to our NISO will call each other and say, hey, New York, can you give us a couple megawatts today, or vice versa? And so really, when it comes to that balancing scenario, we're looking at all the neighboring states working together and things like that.
Right, so no, I mean, I was wondering if there's enough power to make an initial commitment of 6,000, or do they start triaging these requests? Like Dan was saying, not everybody may get the request because 6,000 megawatts is not available on a regular basis.
It depends, because also when you get into that 6,000, you're looking at the actual daily load factor, the daily load usage of a state or an area. It's because it's not just flat across the board. Someone's not using the same amount of power at 1 a.m. that they're using at 5 p.m. So in those scenarios, what they're looking at is they're figuring out the peaks in the day wherever they are and making sure they can handle those peaks. And so that's not necessarily new generation. It could be something such as large scale battery storage, because they'll know is at night they can store X amount of power in local batteries. And then when they need that power at 5 p.m. when everyone turns their AC on, there it is. So there's a lot of different ways to handle that. So it's not necessarily just you need 6,000. It's still back to that balancing question of them figuring out how to balance that much.
Yeah, but you'd have to be pretty close to, you could have some flexibility, but you'd have to have pretty close to that if you're, even with the fluctuations, I would think.
Yep.
Another question I have.
Go ahead.
If I can,
Sure,
Mr. Mayor, if I can.
sure.
The 6,000 is what has been applied for. That doesn't mean that all 6,000 is going to be used. The applications have come in the past, some more come in the future, but it's all going to depend on whether these developers follow through and do what they're supposed to do. This is not a process where first in, first out. Just because you filed first doesn't mean that you're at the head of the line.
Right.
We could come in as potential filers here. All the groundwork that we've done has been excellent up to this point, but it's all going to be, what have you done in terms of follow-up? Those projects and those requests that are followed up on and are worked with the ISO, coordinated with the utilities, those are the projects that are going to go to the front of the line and are going to be worked on by the ISO. So it's going to be incumbent on us to stay ahead of the pack. And some of those applications that were filed, say, 2 years ago, may never be followed through on. So it's not a 6,000 is going to be allocated. The power that will be allocated will be the power that at the end of the day is shown that it's going to be used and utilized with the utilities.
Yeah, no, I understand. That makes sense. But I was just curious, when that 6,000 numbers out there, I was just wondering if everybody got their way, would there be 6,000 megawatts available? But I understand what you're saying. The last question I have, I don't know if you want to answer or not, is does downstate usually get a preference on power allocation before the ISO?
Downstate is getting a new transmission line, so that actually should help alleviate a lot of power for us.
Is that the Quebec, is that what's coming in from
Yeah, that one. Yeah.
Canada?
There's Quebec, there's Propel, there's potential answers to the need down in downstate, Rich. Upstate, that nothing's been built, but they're looking at this right now in the draft energy plan. And the ISO just came out with a report yesterday on system reliability. And they said, my words, we have issues in the next 5 to 10 years into the 2030s. So we're in a good spot to get ahead of this curve and help show the administration and the legislature that more power and transmission needs to be built in order to address the potential economic development opportunities in upstate New York.
And I'll just close with, it's worth noting, I think, when we did the Southern Tier Clean Tech Corridor Initiative, the 8 IDAs, which this IDA partially funded that study. We had Newmark, which is a global site selection company. They reviewed over 15 sites in the region, the proposed Broome Tech Park being one, and they were aware of the plans for full build out, they said if at full build out, it would be one of the most competitive sites in the state. So, so certainly,
We got to-
worthwhile endeavor.
We've got a resolution
I
authorized.
got a question.
Please.
Back in 2015, NICEAG and Xterra had a proposal, and I think it's still on the boards, to increase the 115 to a 345 and also to put another 345 in between the two. Do you know where the status of that proposal is?
I do not know. NICEAG hasn't mentioned that once on our calls. I can bring it up to them now. I know they're in the middle of a rate case, and I know the 115 has been talked about in terms of upgrade, but not another line between that 115 and the 340.
Yeah, we've
In
never heard.
2015 proposal, they were gonna put another line in between. I know it runs through my property.
Yeah,
So it's,
I will tell you that in New England, I believe in Maine, Nextera and NICEAG, Avant Grid, are in intense litigation. They are not on speaking terms, and that situation up in New England has had a ripple effect on all of their other relationships, which may or may not include this one, but the relationship between those two companies has never been worse.
Might be why it's.
I don't know what Charlie Brown.
Oh, it said
I
the,
can't, it's muffled. I don't know what he
Said
said.
Xterra and NICEAG are in litigation and their relationships deteriorated. It's never gonna work.
Yeah.
Okay, we've got a resolution authorizing expenditure of up to $150,000 to engage New York system operator to study power delivery at the proposed tech park. Can we have a second for that move?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Any abstentions? Thank you.
thank you.
Next resolution. Next resolution authorizes the engagement of Lightcast and Economic Modeling LLC to perform certain economic modeling services in an amount not to exceed $5,680. That motion comes to us from governance.
Yes, we move it forward as a motion to approve.
Is there a second?
Second.
Are there questions for Natalie on this? There being none, let's vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Thank you. Next resolution authorizes the sale of property located at 162 Endwell Street in the town of Union to Philbin Painting Inc. for a sale of $40,000. I'd note that Dan Gates had a conflict on this issue and has exited the room for the discussion and vote.
Governance moves it forward as a motion to approve.
Okay, a second, please? Second. Thank you, Mike. Any discussion about that? We've talked about it in the past. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Carries unanimously. Someone wants to let Mike or Dan back in the room, that would be great.
You want to stretch your legs anyway, Chris?
Yeah, I did. Been here for a while.
Yeah.
Next item,
No problem.
next item on our agenda is a resolution extending from October 16, 2025 to October 16, 2026. The period during which First and Main Owner LLC, the company, is authorized to claim sales and use tax benefits for 435 Main Street and 435 Main Street rear, the village of Johnson City.
Governance moves it forward as a motion to approve.
Can I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion or questions about this? Let's vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Any abstentions? Thank you. Item 14, resolution accepting the application of 252 Main Street, Johnson City, seeking a sales and use exemption in connection with its project located at 252 Main Street in the village of Johnson City in an amount not to exceed $12,000. This comes from governance.
Governance moves it forward as a motion to approve.
Second,
Second.
thank you, Elaine. Any discussion? Questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstain? Motion carries. Item 15, resolution of the agency authorizing the partial redemption of treasury notes prior to maturity in accordance with the agency's investment policies in an amount needed to pay costs related to the planning and development of the Broome County Technology Park at Airport Road at the direction of the agency's investment advisor. This come from finance.
Yes.
Thank you. Can I have a second?
Second.
Let Mike have one. He hasn't had. Gotta let him have something. Any discussion about that? I know we touched on briefly during some of our other discussions.
Yeah. In addition to what's already been approved, if additional requests were made, it would go directly to audit and finance for review and approval, just a point of clarification there.
The point that we said was this is going into a revenue line for the tech park to cover upcoming expenses related to the development of the tech park.
Correct, while we're waiting on reimbursement.
Okay, we good? Let's vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Carries. Thank you very much. Item number 16, resolution approving the 2026 Broome County Industrial Development Agency operational budget
Also comes forward. It's a motion to approve.
from finance. Do we have a second? Thank you, Kevin. 2 in a row. You're on a roll.
Making up time. I know.
Does anyone have questions about the operational budget?
Just one question, under the advertising line, what does that include?
Advertising line, we have exactly the same as the prior year. So that is all of our contracts that we currently have. I believe that would include any like website type thing. I don't have all of
It would
them.
be Hugh.
That's just.
Hugh, that's
under
our,
that.
yeah, and Rieger does small media purchases. They plan those for us and we
Okay.
pay them as
Or like LinkedIn ads.
Okay,
yeah.
that's curious,
And then any actual purchase of ads that we do.
right?
Any other questions? Let's vote. All in favor of the operational budget?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Any abstentions? Carries. Thank you. Next item. I move we meet in executive session.
You don't need to do
I
that.
don't believe unless
Oh.
there's any additional conversation on
Right,
item 18.
oh,
I don't-
it would be a motion from governance.
Okay, I was gonna give everybody a shot.
What do you do then after we make the motion?
Okay, so next item, we have a motion that comes from governance resolution authorizing the agency to enter into an option agreement for the purchase of property located at 1681 Stella Ireland Road and 1637 Airport Road, each in the town of Maine, for an initial option payment of $10,000 to be credited against the purchase price to be determined by the executive director based on the appraised value of the property. That comes from governance.
Governance moves it forward as a motion to approve.
Do we have a second? Thank you, Mike. Does anyone have questions about the motion or the option at this point?
I have just a thing that
Please.
I apologize, I didn't catch it earlier. There is no address of 1681 Stella Ireland Road. That is, if you look on the parcel details, that is an airport road access. There is no such address as 1681 Stella Ireland anymore.
We'll use the
But
tax map.
The tax map
tax
number
map
does
might be-
it.
Yeah,
If somebody wasn't
Saying,
looking
yeah.
on, it would add confusion to some people. It-
Yeah.
it should be listed
We'll
as
base it on-
also known as
Yeah.
1581.
Yeah, just for the
I have a
clarity,
tax map parcel, yeah.
the tax map, it is in the full resolution.
the full resolution has it, just for the record, tax map parcel is
Right, and
one
that
ten
is
dot
correct.
oh seven dash 1-26.11. And there's also a second,
There's two
there's a
parcels.
second parcel
Yeah.
in 110.11-1-1.
That's
So
1637 airport.
those are the specific parcels that I guess in the vernacular we're referring to as 1681. I see there's also a reference to 1637, so perhaps.
Use that
Maybe
there.
there
Right,
was-
but there is no Stella Ireland Road.
There's an airport road,
It's Airport Road.
and maybe that's what they.
AKA, well, as we found out before from the two checkerboard pieces that adjoining
It
the.
says, yeah.
It's
Sometimes.
And note that the motion subject to, survey, which will presumably clarify that as well.
Is the 10,000 refundable? It says option.
10,000 is credited towards the ultimate purchase price.
10,000 spent, and it will be spent.
If we agree to the terms, right?
Right.
Well, yeah.
Oh, yeah, we won't sign the
Oh,
option
correct.
agreement until we agree to terms, right?
Yeah, I was gonna piggyback on Dan's point, just for the public record, that we do have an a tentative option agreement, but there are points in there we want to negotiate. And that's what we charged our attorney, is to negotiate the option agreement.
But with that, we have a motion and we have a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Is anyone opposed? Any abstentions? That carried. Does anybody have old business? Or any axes to grind at this point? There being none, may I have a motion for adjournment? Thank you.
All right, we just need to redo.
All in favor?
video.
Aye.
Aye.